Now in this video we're going to talk about another type of factoring, the fourth type we have learned so far, which is called trinomial. As I emphasized again, factoring is reversing multiplication. So first we still review what we learned before of multiplying binomials. The first question here we see is a multiplication question. We multiply x plus 1 and 2x minus 3. So previously when we did this question, we used the FOIL or distribution. So we do x times 2x, which gives us 2x squared. And then we do x times negative 3, that's negative 3x. And then we do 1 times 2x, that's 2x, and 1 times negative 3, that gives us negative 3. And then we combine like terms. So let's write down what we just did. So there are 4 multiplications we just did. The first one, x times 2x, that gives us 2x squared. And next we do x times negative 3, that gives us a negative 3x. And the next multiplication is positive 1 times positive 2x. That is positive 2x. The last multiplication we do is positive 1 times negative 3. That gives us a negative 3. So now we're going to combine like terms. Notice that only these two terms in the middle are like terms. They both have x. So we're going to combine these two. And we're going to get negative x. So the other two terms, 2x squared, we just copy them. When we combine like terms, we add or subtract the numbers in front of the variables. So negative 3 plus 2, it's negative 1x. That 1 can be omitted. And then minus 3. So that's the answer. But notice today we're doing the opposite type of question, factoring. So we have to go reverse everything back. So given 2x squared minus x minus 3, how are we going to find what times what is equal to that? So it's much more difficult. So there are many ways to do this type of question. The way I'm going to do is like reversing multiplication. So we're going to multiply x plus 1 2x minus 3 in a different way. What we just did is multiply in sort of like horizontally. I wrote down the multiplication horizontally and combine like terms. But we can also multiply them vertically. So this is how we do it. Just like if you are given a question of 12 times 12 times 34, we can multiply them this way. 1, 2, 12. We write down the first number 12 in the first row, and then we write down the second number 34 in the second row. So we do the same thing here. So if you want to multiply x plus 1, you write down x plus 1 in the first row, just like 12, and then 2x minus 3 in the second row, just like 34. And then we're going to see how we multiplied numbers, and then we're going to try to do the same thing. When we multiply numbers, we do 2 times 4, last column, we get 8, and then we do diagonal multiplication, 1 times 4, that gives us 4. So we can do the same thing here. We're going to multiply 1 and 3, actually negative 3, so that's going to give us negative 3, the last column. And then we're going to multiply x and negative 3, that gives us a negative 3x. And then go back to look at the numbers. After that, for numbers, we have to also multiply 2 times 3, it gives us a 6, and 3 times 1, that gives us 3. And combine the numbers in the same column. So we got 408. For variables, we do the same thing. So we're going to, after we're done multiplying 1 and -3, x and -3, we're going to multiply 1 and 2x, which gives us positive 2x. We do have to write down the plus sign because we're going to put something in front of it. And then we're going to multiply x times 2x. That gives us 2x squared. And just like how we multiply the numbers, the next step will be combined in the columns. So we have -3 here, -3x plus 2x, that gives us a -1x, which is just -x, and then bring down that 2x squared. As you can see, we got exactly the same answer as we multiplied before. But this is a different way of doing multiplication, just like we multiply numbers vertically. So from this process, we can reverse the multiplication process and try to go back to what we have at the beginning. So what times what will give us 2x squared minus x minus 3. We can first look at the way we're going to start is, we always, when we see trinomials, we're going to start with the 2 by 2 box, which are the first two terms in the first row and second the other two terms in the second row. So as you can see, it's sort of like, I'm going to put x, how do we find x plus 1 and the 2x minus 3? So if I put them, as you can see, we have 2 rows, and then I'm going to draw a line here, vertical line here, to separate the first term and the second terms. So these are we're going to look for these 4 terms separately. So how do we find x, first column, x and 2x? And if you notice, the 2x squared, the first term, comes from these. Where does this 2x squared come from? Comes from multiplying x and 2x. And first multiplying the first column, 2 terms. So if we want to go back, we're going to take this first term, 2x squared, and break it down, reversing again. What times what is 2x squared? So as you can see, we can do one by one. So let's look at number 2. What times what is 2? Apparently there's only one possibility, 1 times 2. And then what times what is x squared? There's only one possibility, x times x. And then we're going to see how we got these last 2 terms. And if you look at the last number, -3, it comes from here, and that -3 comes from multiplying 1 and -3. So now we want to go back, which means what we have to figure out what times what is -3. Well, there will be 2 possibilities. For -3, one possibility is 1 times positive 1 times -3. But there is also another possibility. We can also do -1 times positive 3. That will also give us -3. So which one is the correct one? And we don't know. And when we put the numbers, there are also 2 possibilities. We could put 1 on the top, 3 on the bottom, or we could have put 3 on the top, 1 on the bottom. So there are so many possibilities. Which one would be the correct one? We don't know. So we have to try. How do we know which one is the right one? We're going to try to get the one in the middle, -x. And let's take a look how we got -x. This -x comes from combining -3x and the positive 2x. And where does -3x come from? -3x comes from multiplying diagonally, x times -3. And that positive 2x also comes from multiplying diagonally. And after we do cross multiplies and we add them, that's how we got the one in the middle. So this will help us to check how we're going to which one is the correct one. So out of these so many possibilities here, so I'm going to intentionally pick a wrong way here to try. So if I put, let's say, -3 here and +1 here, and give it a try. Negative 3 times 1, yes, it's going to give us negative 3. But when we check cross multiplies, as we checked the process of multiplication, we notice this negative x comes from combining the cross products of these two. And so we're going to check cross products multiplying these two, which 1x times 1x gives us still 1x. And then we multiply these two, cross multiply, we get 2x times negative 3, that's negative 6x. But after we combine them, we're going to end up with the negative 5x, which is not the one given. So negative 5x does not match what's given in the problem, which is negative x. So it tells me the way I put is wrong. So I have to erase them and try to do a different way. So let's erase all that. So the other try I could do is, how about we switch then? So I'm going to put a 1 on the top and 3 on the bottom. Again, because one of them has to be negative in order to get negative 3. So I'm going to put a negative 1 here and a positive 3 here. And when I do cross multiplies, I will get positive 3x, because 1x times 3 it's positive 3x. And then I'm going to multiply this diagonal. 2x times negative 1, that gives us negative 1x. And after we combine them, we're going to get 3 minus 1, that's a 2x. Negative 2x here, sorry. So when we multiply this cross multiply, that's going to be negative 2. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. So after we combine them, we're going to get negative 1x, positive 1x, because 3 minus 2 is positive 1. And notice that we got something very close. Instead of getting we do need a negative x, but we got a positive x. And so it looks like the only thing we need to change is the sign, because we have everything to match except the sign. We need a negative, but we have positive. So whenever we get opposite of what we have in the middle, we could do a very easy fix. We are going to change negative to positive and change positive to negative. That would fix the problem. So let's check again. 1x times negative 3x cross multiply, so that's negative 3x. 2x times positive 1x, that gives us positive 2x. And when we combine these negative 3x and positive 2x, that gives us exactly a negative x. And that will match the one given. So let's check these 3 steps again. So multiplying first column, 1x times 2x, we should get the first term, 2x squared. We do. 1 times 2 is 2. X times x, x squared. And when you multiply the last column, second column, positive 1 times negative 3, we should get last term negative 3. That works. And then when we do cross multiplies and combine them, we should get negative x, which we just did right here. It does give us negative x. So that tells us that's the correct answer. And note, how do we put the answer in here? If you go back to multiplication of numbers, it's when we multiply vertically, we put the first number in the first row. So 12 times 34. So the same thing here, when you write it back, what times what is 2x squared minus x minus 3? It's going to be x plus 1. You write down the first row, and that 1 can be omitted. And then times 2x minus 3. 2x minus 3. So from this example, by reversing everything, we figure out how to factor a trinomial.